Hi everyone, my name is Ibrahim elziny. Today I'm going to introduce my science project. We're going to talk about evolution. First thing we need to ask, what is evolution? Evolution, it is the change in the heritable characteristics of biological populations over successive generations. These characteristics are the expressions of genes, which are passed from the parent to the offspring during reproduction. First thing we're going to talk about is evidence of evolution. Number one, ancient organism remains. Fossils are the preserved of remains of the ancient organisms. Animals fossil include actual parts of the body, such as bones or an entire skeleton, traces left by the body, such as a trail of footprints. Number two, fossil layers. Fossils of the simplest organisms are found in the oldest rocks, and fossils of more complex organisms in the newest rocks. This supports Darwin's theory of evolution, which states that the simple life formally gradually evolved into more complex ones. Evidence for early forms of life comes from fossils. Number three, similarities among organisms alive today. Every living creature has DNA, which has a lot of inherited information about how the body builds itself. Scientists can compare the DNA of two organisms. The more similar the DNA, the more closely related the organism. As we see in the picture, the human has the same bone as a cat and a horse and a bat, and these all animals have related organisms. Second thing we're going to talk about is the theories of evolution. The first theory is Lamarck's. His theory is based on inheritance of developed characters, which are defined as the changes developed in the body of an organism from normal characters in response to the changes in environment or in the functioning of organs in their own lifetime to fulfill their new needs. As a result, Lamarck stressed on adaptation as means of evolutionary change. The second theory we're going to talk about is Charles Darwin. He collected the observation on animal distribution and the relationship between living and extinct animals. He found that existing living forms share similarities to varying degrees, not only among themselves, but also with with the life forms that existed millions of years ago, some of which have become extinct. And the third and the last theory is mutation. It is the living organism that can develop changes to their genes that greatly modify the organism. These changes are passed down to the next generation and lead to development of a new species. Once a new species has evolved, it becomes fixed and stops changing. The last thing we're going to talk about is the natural selection process in details. It is the process through which populations of living organisms adapt and change. Individuals in a population are naturally variable, meaning that they are all different in some ways. This variation means that some individuals have traits better suitable to their environment than others. We have four types. Variation is any difference between cells, individual organisms, or groups of organisms of any species caused either by genetic difference or by the effect of environmental factors on the expression of the genetic potentials. And the second type is inheritance. It is these adaptations are likely to be passed to the offspring. It also means that less well adapted organisms are less likely to pass on their adaptations over many generations. These small differences add up to the formation of new species by evolution. Number three, adaptation. It is the trait that can be passed down to allow the organism to adapt to the environment better than other organisms of the same species that enables better survival and reproduction compared with the other members of the species, leading to evolution. Number four, selection. It is the process which population of living organisms adapt and change. Individuals in a population are naturally variable, meaning that they are different in some ways. Like an example we have in this photo, the first bird, it swims, so it has this kind of hand. The second, it can swim and walk, so it has this kind of hand, and the third walks, so it has this kind of hand. This is called selection. The fifth and the last thing is called time. Selection causes organisms to evolve throughout time. It might take days, hundreds, or even millions of years for these changes to take place. However, successful variants build up over time. Thank you for watching.